Welcome, one and all, to the GameCritics.com podcast for the last week of December 2008, our final show of the year. I've poured myself a cup of hot chocolate. I'm cozied up by the fire. Of course, I don't have a fireplace, so I'm actually in quite a bit of danger, but let's not worry about that right now. Instead, let's introduce my friends, my colleagues from GameCritics.com. Gentlemen, how are you?
Wonderful. Fabulous. Engorged with holiday spirit right now.
I understand. Well, that right there is Mr. Brad Gallaway. He hasn't been on the show in about a month. Brad, it's great to have you back.
Hey, it's good to be back, Tim. It's been a while, so it's nice to be here. And I don't know about the rest of you guys, but it's kind of a funny week to be back because here in Seattle we're having a really terrible snowstorm right now, and I'm kind of hoping that my power doesn't go out, and the way my luck is going, it probably will. So if I suddenly disappear from the podcast, you guys know what happened. But if that does happen, I am well prepared. I am currently recording in a full-body footy pajamas, and they're keeping me nice and snug.
Does it have a snap by the neck? Is it a zipper that runs all the way up your body, and then you have the snap up top?
I do. No, I have buttons all the way up the front, and then I have the little butt hatch in the back, so... I have, like, the traditional type.
Well, we'll post pictures of that in the show notes for everybody.
Yeah, totally. It's my Skype icon now, too.
Well, also returning from a month-long absence, it's Game Critics founder, Mr. Chi-Kong Liu. Chi, how are you, sir?
Doing good, Tim. I actually do have a cup of hot chocolate in front of me right now as we speak. And we are having a snow day out here in New Jersey as well. And my wife and my son and I have just been watching... downloaded episodes of Naruto all day long.
Naruto is the one... What's his catchphrase again?
Believe it.
Believe it!
Yes, it's very annoying after a while.
Well, it's good that you're spending the whole day on it then. So that's three of us. I'm in Chicago, so three of us are enduring harsh weather conditions. Let's go up north to Mr. Dan Weissenberger. Dan, can you give us a weather report for the entire nation of Canada?
Up here in Canada, it is so cold that it is no longer capable of snowing.
So it's just blocks of ice falling from the sky?
When you get past in order to have precipitation, you need to have cold air and hot air fighting. When you get too much cold air, you just wind up with brutal, unending, just freeze.
I cannot believe you just gave us the kindergartner's version of, like, the weather report. The warm air is mad at the cold air, and they're fighting. It'll be okay tomorrow. Just go to bed and sleep, and we'll be fine in the morning.
I was asked for a weather report of the whole country, okay? I get to answer that ridiculous question any way I want.
It's just an argument, though. It's just an argument. Nothing serious.
You're saying the hot air and the cold air are not getting divorced?
There is no divorce, no. Divorce doesn't happen in the hot air or cold air relationship.
All right, then.
I'm sorry, guys. I zoned out there for a minute. Let's go ahead and move on. No, I'm joking. All right. Sorry.
That entertaining, huh? Gee,
I
might as well stop recording now.
No, it was fantastic. So anyway, gentlemen, I'm so happy to be spending our last podcast of the year with each of you, and we've got a jam-packed show for you this week. It's packed like a Christmas piñata, and we have gotten a lot of emails wondering when we're going to do our year-in-review show, and rest assured we are going to do one that's coming in January, so you can look forward to that, and of course the GameCritics.com website will have its year-in-review material up sometime prior to that, so lots of year-in-review stuff to look forward to. This week we're going to talk about a few new games that have come out. Far Cry 2, that's actually getting some play in a lot of best-of lists, so I'm looking forward to hearing about that. We're also going to talk about Rise of the Argonauts, which is not getting a lot of play in many best-of lists, so we're going to do both of those in quick hits. But I thought we'd start this week with some listener feedback. We haven't done it in two shows, and I know you're all very interested with what the audience has to say.
Always.
Absolutely.
Always.
We're a community-based show. We say at the end of every episode that we crave feedback, and so now we're going to read some of it here on the air. This was from something from 2 episodes ago from user Maury Buckman. Now, if you remember, 2 weeks ago we did our listener Q&A show. And Maury actually asked one of the questions that we responded to. He said, do you prefer a game to do only one thing for its duration, like art style Orbiant, or that it aims to do everything in small amounts, like Portal? And we had some criticism of that question, and Maury wrote to clarify his comments on Portal, so I thought I'd read that now. He says, quote, "Thanks for answering my question. If I may defend using Portal as an example of a game which tries to do everything. It seemed to be a puzzle game, but then it had action with even a boss fight and difficult movement, which are very different types of gameplay. Humor was maybe not the best word. He should have said comedy." And he goes on to say, listening to a comedy story is absolutely an activity in itself, so even though Portal is short, it is absolutely trying to do everything. A focused version of Portal would either be just a puzzle game or just a comedy story. It would not be a puzzle game which thinks it's a comedy story and incorporates action and movement gameplay. So that was Maury's response to his own question. The one comment I have about that question, and I guess technically Maury does have a point. I mean, humor, Portal without the humor, without GLaDOS, without the Still Alive song at the end, I think probably would have been less of a game. I do take exception to his comment where he says a focused version of Portal would either be just a puzzle game or just a comedy story. Well, if it was just a comedy story, it wouldn't be a game and we wouldn't be talking about it, but I'm fairly certain that's not what he meant. But I don't know. What do we think about a focused version of Portal?
Well, they actually have the focused version of Portal. If anyone's played it, it's the 2D. Has anyone played 2D Portal, the Flash game?
It had a different name, didn't it? Are you talking about the inspiration for it, or is there an actual?
No,
2D
not
game?
Narbacular Drop. Someone, to promote the release of Portal, went and made their home version of Portal in 2 dimensions, where it's just levels where you have to solve puzzles using the Portal mechanics. It's in no way as fulfilling as Portal with a story and a plot and, 3-dimensional movement. But it is a fun little Flash game to play on your desktop if you're trying to kill a lunch hour or avoid doing work. Look it up, 2D Portal.
I think that's actually available on Kongregate.com. That's Congregate with a K. And yeah, it's a free version. And I think they actually, somebody translated those 2D levels into a 3D level, which can be downloaded as a mod for the original version of Portal. So it's a full circle.
If I ever played PC games, then that would really excite me.
Yeah, those PC people, man, they're a creative bunch. I got to give them props for that.
I mean, I think the point the group was trying to make in the previous episode was Portal doesn't feel like it's one of those games that tries to do too many different things. I mean, if anything, it's one of the games on the market that feels super focused. So it just, I understand what he's saying. It just doesn't, feel like, again, what he's saying is applicable as being these games that do too much. So that was my point.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that. I mean, I think if you were to try to say that it does humor, that there would have to be a little bit more input from the player in regards to like supporting the humor. But since all you're really doing is listening to these pre-recorded monologues and stuff, I mean, it's flavor and it's there and it definitely adds to the experience. But I see what he's saying, and I'm not trying to say that Maury doesn't have a point, but at the same time, I definitely agree with Chi in that Portal feels to me extremely focused. And so I can kind of look past the trimmings and just see that at heart it really only does one thing. And it does it really well. I love Portal, don't get me wrong. But anyway, I agree with Chi on this one.
Yeah, it's just jumping and translocation puzzles, and the only thing that keeps it from just being, a very, very, very dry exercise in puzzle design is the comedy that gives it that little bit of character that the game has.
I think, so we thank Maury for his question, and we hope he'll continue to contribute. That led to some great discussions. So now we come to our next piece of feedback. And Dan, are you holding on to something?
I'm actually holding on to a controller because I'm playing Far Cry 2 right now.
Well, excellent. And you're playing Far Cry 2 during the show?
Is that strange? Is no one else playing a game right now?
No.
I thought I actually just killed you in Far Cry 2. Was that not you that I just took out?
Well, how could I be playing?
Because that was a pretty
multiplayer if
sweet
I was
headshot
line
on
with
my
you?
part. I totally thought I capped you. Sorry. Must be somebody else.
I have to say I'm incredibly impressed that you're able to stay focused on doing a podcast and play a game as complicated as Far Cry 2 simultaneously. That's unbelievable to me.
Really? Because
It is.
I only ever play video games while doing something else.
He's taping another podcast as we speak right now.
Whenever
Somehow
I'm quiet, I've hit mute and gone to talk to the other people.
Yeah, he's very good with the mute button.
What would be impressive is if the answers you're giving for this podcast are at the same time applicable to the other podcast that you're doing, and yet somebody's asking different questions. That would be a talent.
Oh, God, I wish.
Yeah. So
I'm sitting down,
Dan-
I am holding onto the controller, hit me with it.
all right. Here's what happened. You had your Left 4 Dead quick hit last week, and just today, in the episode 6 thread on the GameCritics.com forums, Gene Park, our friend and colleague, left this comment on your Left 4 Dead review. I'm going to read it now. Here we go. Gene wrote, quote, "Considered my jaw dropped at Dan's take on Left 4 Dead and how he misses the point of the game." Oh, there's more. There's more.
Okay.
He says, "I think Dan brings an interesting and intelligent perspective on many games, but it's become very clear to me now that Dan assigns certain expectations to games and punishes them for not meeting them. It's not unreasonable to expect a certain amount of quality from a game, but it's just bizarre to expect a story out of a game that wasn't meant to have a story or upgradable weapons. Also, it's very clear that Dan has no real affinity for games that force you to interact with other people. I'm afraid to hear what he has to say about Little Big Planet." End quote. Dan, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, first off, I would just like to say thank you to Gene for, not having the guts to come here and say that to my face over the internet. But beyond that,
Oh, the gauntlet
I
is
just want to
thrown.
say that, I didn't re-listen to my comments there, but I was working on the review last night, and I gotta say, my problem with Left 4 Dead was not so much that there was no story, nor did I expect it to have one. Obviously, I'm a story guy. If there was a story, that would be nice. My problem with Left 4 Dead was that for a game that wants me to play the same 4 levels over and over again, it really didn't give me any reason to go back to the same 4 levels over and over again. He says that it was never meant to have upgradable weapons, as if upgradable weapons would have in some way hurt the fabric of the game. A comment that doesn't even make sense to me. Something to keep it so I wasn't just fighting the same enemies with the same guns over and over and over again would have added to its longevity immeasurably. It's completely true what I said in the in my little comment there, that everything that there is to see in the game you see in the demo. Every gun, every type of enemy, every boss character, every dramatic situation that appears in the game is in the demo. There are no surprises. And I would like someone to have someone explain to me how not letting me have other skins for the players, is somehow important in a multiplayer game. I can't even customize my characters in a game without a plot. What kind of sense does that make?
So, what about his comment that Dan has no real affinity for games that force you to interact with other people? And the reason I pull that out is I'm looking at some of the reviews for Left 4 Dead, and I don't go to Metacritic often, but I happen to be there right now. And the vast majority of the reviews say things like, when it comes to co-op multiplayer, Valve is consistently ahead of the curve and excellent at making games that force players to work together. He says Left 4 Dead offers one of the best new multiplayer experiences available on the market, the most innovative multiplayer video game since Pioneer's Quake and Doom. Another says Left 4 Dead thrives on camaraderie. Is it possible that Left 4 Dead just wasn't made for you, that it's a multiplayer experience, and if you're not a multiplayer guy, should you even be reviewing it? Playing devil's advocate.
Thank you for doing that, first off. But actually, the weird part is Gene is... he's partially right. I don't normally play multiplayer games. That being said, the thing I love more than anything else is co-op games. I will play basically any game that offers me a co-op mode. But, games with co-op modes tend to... I don't know. I like having a little more of a challenge in the co-op mode. There's only one thing to do in Left 4 Dead, and that is have all 4 players stay together at all times and fight the endless onrush of zombies. It's not like you ever team up to do something. I mean, the closest you have to that is how whenever you're attacked by a special zombie, you're incapacitated and your buddies have to shoot it off of you, which is fun and it's wonderful and it does build camaraderie, which I completely agree with. But that being said, for a co-op game, there's no variety. There's still, whether or not it's being intended to be played together, there should be enough in the game to make it fun in addition to that one gameplay mechanic. Like, beyond that main gameplay mechanic I talked about, the one that appears in the demo, there's nothing more to the game. And yeah, it can be fun if you get 4 people together, but playing Mule can be fun if you get 4 people together, Like,
hey, don't say anything bad about Mule, man.
No, I like Mule. I love Mule. I have spent, hours and hours playing Mule with 4 friends and a multi-tap on the NES. Don't get me wrong. But that being said, it's the quality of your gameplay is entirely dependent on who you play it with. Left 4 Dead is not a fun game in and of itself. It is only made fun if you have 3 fun people to play it with. And I think that's a problem. I think there should be something about the game in itself to be entertaining. That was where I was coming from.
I haven't played the game myself. And I don't do multiplayer a lot, but when I do, I don't usually do more than 2 people, like me and one other person. And I have to admit, having not played the game, but like reading about the game a lot and hearing about the game a lot, it does really strike me as odd that there's really not that much to it. I mean, looking at a list of the features and hearing people who have played it, to me it sounds really weird that there's not more to the game. I'm kind of curious that more people haven't said, "Oh, I got tired of it" after a day or so. I mean, maybe that's the joy that Valve has captured with this new 4-player experience. But to me, just looking at what it offers, it doesn't seem like anything more than like a framework. And I'm kind of wondering why. I mean, what makes this so much more fun than anything else? I mean, it forces the cooperation. I understand that the zombies come in and you really got to work together. But, I mean, like Dan said, there's no new guns. There's only a couple maps. There's no new skins. There's no... I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I am the player who this game is not meant for because I'm 90% a single player and, once in a while a multiplayer with 2 people. So I don't ever really see myself in a 4-player or more game. But, I mean, it just seems like there should be more. And I'm kind of really puzzled that we haven't heard more about that. I suspect, and I could be completely wrong, but I suspect in like a month, very few people are going to be playing this game because everybody's going to be just tired of it. Because it seems to me like there's not enough here. I mean, but of course that's when Valve is going to launch their download content, which, I mean, I suspect, and, if anybody from Valve is listening, I don't mean to cast aspersions on your good nature, but the bare-bones structure of the game really seems to me like a perfect Trojan horse for selling download content in the future. You get people hooked on the gameplay, they get bored of it really quick. Oh, hey, we got a new level this month. Hey, we got a new skin. Oh, hey, we got a new gun. And they'll just milk that sucker for the next year. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what my gut was telling me, so...
Well, historically, though, I mean, Valve does release tons of new content. They've been doing it for Team Fortress 2 for about a year, and it's always free. Valve has not charged for a single bit of extra content. And I think that's one of the things that, Valve is very, very community-focused, and that's one of the things that endears people to Valve is that they continue to support games, and they really don't milk the audience that way.
I would point out, though, Tim, that I believe it is a current policy of at least Microsoft, and it may be of Sony, that developers are not allowed to put anything out for free. So I know that some developers have gone on the record saying we created X content for X game for free, and yet we still had to charge because Microsoft does not let free content go out there. And I suspect it's the same for Sony. So that may be true in the PC arena, and I certainly don't know anything about that, but I don't know. I still got my guard up about this a little bit.
Well, yeah, and that's a good point. With Team Fortress 2 on the Xbox 360, none of those PC updates made it to the Xbox. They just didn't update it. So whether they'll do that for Left 4 Dead or not, remains to be seen. But it is created in the Source engine, which is the Half-Life 2 engine, which means the modding tools are out there. It's just a matter of time before somebody integrates the Half-Life 2 gravity gun with Left 4 Dead and zombies, and I will jump on that day one. The idea of picking up saw blades with my gravity gun and shooting the zombies and boy, that to me right there, that's all I need.
I'd like to drop one last point in here, but beyond that, I mean, I understand where Gene's coming from, and yeah, I admit totally can be fun with some good people playing, but the fact is, like, for a game where the whole, movies are only 40 minutes long to play, and you're expected to play them over and over and over again, there's not even, like, meaningfully different multiple pathways to take through the level. Like, essentially, every now and then, there will be two different pathways to go, like, you can go down the left hallway or the right hallway, but that is incredibly few and far between. For the most part, the levels themselves are incredibly linear, and I was just aching for something to make the game play different the fifth time. And the fact that the tank and the witch appear at a slightly different place each time was not doing it for me.
Fair enough. Well, I think you've provided sufficient counter arguments. The ball is now in Gene's court. We're going to settle this in the Thunderdome of the internet, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
Who gets to ride the big retarded guy? As if that seat is empty, I claim
Nobody actually rode him inside the Thunderdome.
No, but you could.
In my fan fiction, he does.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't like how that story ends, Tim. You got to stop bringing that up. That whole bed of roses thing just does not work for me.
It's my art. It's my passion. I can't deny who I am. So, with that, let's move on to our quick hits. We're going to talk about two games this week. Brad, you've been playing Rise of the Argonauts, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you and let you tell us about that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tim. Just one thing real quick before I get to Rise of the Argonauts. I wanted to give another shout out to what I see as one of the year's best RPGs, Persona 4 from Atlus. And the reason I wanted to bring this up kind of out of the blue is because one of the problems of being a critic is that sometimes deadlines are a reality, and that is true especially for games that are very sizable, like RPGs. I definitely strive to finish every game completely before I review it, but sometimes it is just not possible. And the games in the Persona series are well known for running into the 100-plus hour range to complete, so they are total productivity killers. I did publish a formal review on the website, GameCritics.com, and at that time that I wrote it, I was somewhere around the 40 or 50 hour mark. I can't remember exactly. But I continued to play it after that. I'm still playing it as we speak, and I'm not even done yet. Right now I'm somewhere in the 75 hour range. And I just hit one of the most well-written emotional scenes, totally touching, that I've seen in an RPG in quite some time. A couple episodes back, we were talking about games that made people cry, and I can honestly say that I can add one more to my list. The scene that I sat through today, it busted me up. My wife was sitting there wondering what the hell was wrong with me, because she has been watching the game. I'm sitting there with my headphones on the couch, and she's like, "Why are you crying?" So it was a really tremendous moment, and I really wish that Atlus had sent me the game like a week before they did, because if I had been able to put, maybe another 10 or 20 hours in it before I cranked that review out, I very likely would have given it another half a point, maybe even a perfect score, possibly. And if the voice actors in the game are listening, all of you guys did a phenomenal job. Phenomenal. So, if you're a JRPG, Japanese role-playing game fan, and you haven't played this game yet, you are completely insane. And to anybody who doesn't really play JRPGs, but they like good RPGs in general, this one, don't miss it. This one is fantastic. So I just had to say that, get that off my chest, and give Atlus a little bit more props for their fantastic game. So, moving on, Rise of the Argonauts.
Wait, no.
Crafted. Oh, go ahead.
Nobody has anything to say about Brad crying at Persona 4.
There's nothing funny about that, Tim.
Very well.
No comments. Nobody. Nothing.
We haven't played the game, but we are excited to try.
All right. Well, make sure you get at least 75 hours into it, because that's when that scene comes up. So you got to be dedicated.
75 hours.
Listen, I'm a big bitch myself, so who am I to judge?
All right. So I cried. It was worth it. It was good. I felt better afterwards. Got it all out. It all worked out in the end. So yes, Persona 4, absolutely one of the best games of the year, no question. So, Rise of the Argonauts. Crafted by the fine people at Liquid Entertainment, Rise of the Argonauts is a Greek-themed action RPG, or perhaps I should say RPG with some action, that tells the story of Jason of Iolcus. He is the king of his island, and on his wedding day his wife is assassinated just as they are completing their vows. Total bummer. And as any Greek hero would do, he immediately sets out to make things right and begins a quest that puts him on the trail of the legendary Golden Fleece. So, before going further into this game, I really wanted to address some of the reviews that this game is getting on Metacritic and GameRankings and some of those other sites. A lot of the reviews for this game are astoundingly, overpoweringly negative. And I just can't see it. I think there's a lot of unwarranted hate going around for this game that it does not deserve. I've heard talk that the 360 version runs a little rougher than the PS3 version, which is the version that I had. And taking that into account, and even factoring in some variance of taste, I still have a hard time seeing how this game is getting like 25s and 30s from well-established sites like Destructoid and 1UP. They both trashed it. And I'm having a really hard time wrapping my head around that. I think for some reason this game has got a target on its back that it absolutely does not deserve. So, with this segment on the podcast, I really wanted to play the voice of reason and say to anyone who's even looking at this game that this game really is fun, it's really entertaining, and it's doubly so if you have any interest in Greek mythology. As someone who's really familiar with the source material, I'm very impressed with the level of research and the level of detail they worked into the game, especially so with the main character, Jason. I mean, there's no question that he is a hero in the classic sense. I mean, he's absolutely a force for good, no question. But at the same time, he holds very true to the ideals of the Greek myths, being that many of the gods and the heroes were very human. I mean, they were jealous, they were lustful, they were very violent. And there are many points in the game when Jason delivers some really harsh justice, and I was really glad to see that happen. It's very thematically accurate. In terms of the game itself, it's very comparable to something like Knights of the Old Republic or even Mass Effect. I mean, you have a ship, you go from location to location, you meet people who join your party, and you help other people solve their problems. Don't be confused. The point of this game is the story. It's the story and the adventure. I have heard some grumbling from people who kind of expected it to be another God of War, or something where you strike up 357 hit combos as you dismember people, and it's not an action game. It's just not. The combat here is solid, but it's not the centerpiece of the game. And instead, I would say that anybody who's interested in a Greek-themed RPG with heavy emphasis on character and story will find it really worthwhile. I mean, it's a little on the shorter side. I finished somewhere around 10 or 12 hours or so, and it's definitely not as deep as Mass Effect or Knights. But that worked out just fine for me. To be perfectly honest, it really felt as though I was playing one of those classic films from the 60s, the Ray Harryhausen stop-motion special effects movies like The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, the original Jason and the Argonauts, or I'm sure most people have seen Clash of the Titans. I mean, this game felt as though I was playing one of those films, and as someone who is a fan of those films, it didn't really take very much for the game to grow on me. So it needs a little polish here and there. It definitely needs a mini-map on screen, but overall, I had a fantastic time with it, and I definitely give it a thumbs up. It does not deserve these bad reviews.
Do you think it's a classic case of critics trying to build up their cred by panning these low-profile games that they think they can get away with?
I think you may have a point because, Codemasters is not one of the larger publishers out there, and I'm sure that they don't fit the bill for advertising for many of these online sites that are ripping it up. But I mean, I played Fable 2 recently. And Argonauts and Fable 2 are basically in the same ballpark. They're kind of the same game. more or less. And I thought Fable 2 was absolute crap. I hated Fable 2. In fact, I hated it so much, I stopped playing it after like 3 hours because I couldn't friggin' stand it anymore. And yet that game has a pretty comfortable, like, it's like an 85 or an 89 or something like that. And for Argonauts to score a 50 is like unbelievable. So I absolutely do think that for a smaller publisher and a smaller developing house, I do think people are scoring points off it just because they can. I think you're onto something. Because, I mean, granted, there may be some issues with the 360 version. I have not seen that myself, so I can't say. But my PS3 version ran just fine. And I didn't see half of the things that people were complaining about. So it's kind of disgusting to me. The people at Liquid were very excited about their title. I talked to them before the game came out, and I saw all the hard work they put into it. And for these people to get trashed, not only trashed, but trashed so close to Christmas, like that's horrible, and they don't deserve it at all. I mean, seriously, like there's not even anything funny about that. I mean, I kind of sat there after I read these reviews, and I imagined all these people who put a couple years of their life into it, and they're getting savaged, man, and they just don't deserve it. So I feel really bad for them. And that aside, I mean, my feelings for Liquid aside, it's a good game. I liked it. I had a lot of fun with it, and I would absolutely recommend it for somebody who wants something, kind of RPG action-ish and a little, on the lighter side. So I loved it.
And when you referenced Clash of the Titans as well as the other older movies, now the game doesn't actually look like that or feel like that, right? I mean, in terms of the low production values and all that, right?
No. That wasn't. No, that was not. Apologies to anybody. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that the game looks like stop motion animation. No, it was just, when you watch those old movies, man, like the effects are not good. I mean, maybe when you're a kid, like you kind of think they're sort of okay, but that dragons don't look like they're doing the robot. And these skeletons, like they're just so stocky, and you can tell that the actors are in front of these green screens. But you don't let it stop you from enjoying the overall picture. I mean, it's very exciting to go along with these heroes, and they got these swords, they're on a boat, and there's chicks in bikinis, and they're killing monsters. I mean, they're good films. And just the energy that you get from watching those is very, it's very infectious. And I had the same feeling playing this game. And I certainly don't mean to say that it looks stop motion at all, but just the same kind of, it does need polish in a couple places, but none of that stuff was anywhere a problem for me. I got into it, I went with the flow, I liked the characters, I liked the story, and it was just a good adventure, I mean, I don't really think a game always has to be more than that. So for me, it fit the bill just fine.
Is this quite possibly the worst time of year to be releasing a lower profile game like this?
Oh, I think that is very true. I know that they kind of went back and forth with the release date, and I'm not really sure. I don't have the inside track on why it came out when it did, but I would definitely agree with you that it probably would have been better for the game overall to have been released in a slower time period, like maybe the February-March period or something, when everybody's got Christmas money and they've already unwrapped whatever, Fallout 3 or Gears of War 2 or whatever it is everybody's getting for Christmas. So it's kind of unfortunate timing. Yeah, you're probably right.
Well, for the hardcore guys though, there hasn't been any major release in 3 or 4 weeks though, so not the worst time, I suppose. But yeah, maybe it would have done better though outside of the holiday season.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, but more than anything else, I really, really want to get the message out there that this game does not deserve the hate it's getting. Like, for this game to get a 52, that's totally ridiculous. And I'm kind of appalled that that's what it's getting right now. So I wanted to get that on the record.
Actually, I got a question about this one.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Go for it.
Now, there's a bit of a spoiler alert here. I haven't played the game, but we're moving on territory that might get into it, because I got to ask about the game's ending, which I assume you've seen, Brad?
Yes.
Okay. Do they have the guts to end it the way the story ends, with Jason's children being cut up and fed to him for dinner?
I believe that's the alternate ending. I didn't get all the trophies.
Okay.
And, so they held that back. No.
Oh, okay. Just wondering if they left that one in.
I'm sorry. I'm giggling furiously on my couch right now.
The concept of cannibalism.
Well, as longtime listeners know, that was my preferred method for playing Fallout, so any cannibalism reference I'm all about.
Glad to hear it.
Yes, indeed. Well, Brad, thank you very much for your thoughts on Rise of the Argonauts, and I hope people listen to that and word does get out that it's not the disaster that the world seems to be making it out to be. That takes us to our last quick hit for the show, and that's going to take us over to Dan, who's been playing Far Cry 2. Dan, tell us about Far Cry 2.
And is still playing Far Cry 2 as we speak.
Maybe you could give us the play-by-play. Just tell us what you're seeing on the screen.
So I'm heading through the door, and all of the mercenaries are already dead, so I'm climbing into a Jeep, and I'm driving down the road. The diamond sensor is going off, so I could go to... Oh, ran over a dead body. Whoops. Diamond sensor's going off. I could go to get the diamond, but it's my second time through the game, so I don't care so much. Okay, this isn't working so well. Although I may do this for a future audio gamer piece, so thank you for giving me the idea.
I was going to say, Dan, that was a new record. You conversation killed yourself.
I do my best. Anyway, Far Cry 2. Far Cry 2 is a first-person shooter. It's belongs to the now popular open-world genre of games, and it's notable for being the first open-world first-person shooter that really gives you a huge playground that you can freely move around in to be available on the consoles, because the previous entries in the genre, your Stalkers and your Crises, have only been on the PC, because apparently they thought that was the only way they could stream all of the information as quickly. Well, Ubisoft Montreal has cracked the code, and I'm very happy they did, because I'm finding it to be a stellar game that has already made it onto my top 5 of the year list. I gotta say, I'm a little surprised to see it on other people's top 5 of the year, top 5, top 10, whatever, best of the year list, because it doesn't seem like the kind of game that would be for everyone. It's a very dark game. It's set in Africa, and its plot largely concerns the ongoing wars and genocides in Africa, which, although I laughed a little there, really is not a funny matter at all. It's a really deeply brutal game, and it belongs to what has heretofore been a not especially popular kind of first-person shooters, the ultra-realistic first-person shooter, where if you get shot 3 or 4 times, you die, and you only have real-world weapons, and there's limited healing, no regenerating health. So
when we say open world, this is similar to Stalker, Crisis, that sort of genre?
I think because I haven't played, I played Stalker a little, but my computer is so old that I haven't been able to play Crisis at all. The only thing I really can compare it to is the games I have played, the open world games like Mercenaries or Just Cause, games it extremely resembles, except it's a more serious plot-wise, it's a much more serious version of those games, but with a first-person setting. And I gotta say, I think part of the reason people have been loving it so much, certainly part of the reason I love it so much, is that the first-person setting really wants to bring you into the world. Like, it's one of these games that takes immersion incredibly seriously, to the point where I was actually very impressed. In addition to, obviously, aiming primarily down iron sights, you actually have to look down the barrel to aim your guns. Every character, you can play as 8 different characters in the game that don't really affect much except for which of the other mercenaries you meet in the game. Every character has a different set of hands in the game, so whoever you're playing as, you're looking at a completely different set of hands all the time. Whenever you get in or out of a vehicle, you actually see hands opening doors and hands grabbing wheels, or if you swing from the turret of a vehicle down in the front seat, you can see your hands grab onto a bar. Like, it's very good at giving you that sense of immersion that they've been chasing after since what was that game, the Jurassic Park game that was so terrible?
Trespasser. No?
Trespasser, thank you. Yeah. It's the getting you in the world with interaction that they've been searching for since Trespasser that's never been really good. And here it's actually pretty darn great. Like, I'm never the kind of person who forgets they're playing a video game and becomes completely immersed in the world of the game, but I gotta say, it really feels good and adds a lot of weight to the world to actually look down and see a hand grab a doorknob and turn a doorknob every time you go through a doorway.
So if you like hands, if you're a hand guy, this is the game for you.
That is an incredible reduction of what I've been saying, but yes, if you are a hand guy, this is your game.
Are there even like female hand models? Because if it's just guy hands, it's kind of creepy.
Sadly, there are female mercenaries in the game, but you don't get to play as any of them. I apologize.
I'm out. Forget that, man. No way.
It's very depressing.
Dude hands
agree.
all the time. I can't sit through that.
But the craziest thing about, well, you don't get to see your character, so what does it matter? It's like that ridiculous Mirror's Edge thing where everyone's like, "Oh, it's got a hot chick in the game." It's a first-person game. You never see the hot chick.
You can see your hands, man. That's the whole point.
Oh my god. You people with your hand fetishes. Anyway.
You're the one that brought it up, dude, not us.
I did not bring up the fetishization of it. I am not going to take the fall for that one. But I think the thing that I appreciate most about it is that how dedicated they are to the realism and the unpleasantness of the realism. For example, there's a little 5 bars of health, and there's a little bit of an unrealistic, adrenaline spray, an adrenaline syringe you can give yourself to get your health back up to full. Unless you're down to 1 bar of health. If you're down to 1 bar of health, you are critically injured. And this is really unsettling because you will bleed to death if you're critically injured, but at any time you can, even if you don't have a health pack, fix yourself by doing emergency surgery. And what really blew me away about the game is that they came up with something like 20 different animations for this emergency surgery. Like, there'll be a hole in your arm, and it's entirely dependent on how you were injured. So if you were near an explosion when you got critically injured, you got to reach down and pull a giant piece of shrapnel out of your arm or leg. Or if you got a bullet, there'll be a bullet in your arm that's almost all the way through, and so you watch your character take a finger and just like push their finger into their arm until the bullet pops out the other side.
Ouch.
I know, it's disgusting. Or if there's a gaping hole in your arm, you bunch up 5 matches, light them all at once, and then field cauterize the wound. Like, just, I know it's almost, macho porn in a way, but I gotta say, I was very impressed that they went all the way, to the point where if you take falling damage, your hand will be shattered and you have to reset your fingers. So yeah, it's a little on the intense side, but I think beyond, all of these little bells and whistles, what impressed me most about the game is how completely serious the story is. And it's rare that you see that in any game, let alone a first-person shooter, but it's, and I guess what impresses me most about it is it's about a serious problem right now, which is ongoing wars in Africa. And you're a person who has been sent, a mercenary who's been sent to Africa to kill an arms dealer named the Jackal, who has been arming both sides of a conflict, causing it to escalate to the point where it's no longer controllable by international peacekeepers who are on the borders around this African country.
And is it a fake African country?
Oh, it is a fake African country. They're not going to talk about a real genocide.
Okay, so it's a video game country. Okay.
It's not tasteless, but yeah. And I mean, hell, most movies do fake African countries.
Fair enough.
But
anyway,
how many people can even name an African country in the first place? I mean, our sense of geography here in the States is horrible.
Yeah, but I mean, given with the problems they've been having in Zimbabwe, I could see them setting the game there, But they didn't, and I was very impressed by the fact that they take it utterly seriously, and the game has an incredibly cynical worldview about the fact that not only why these people are, being driven to combat by the fact that their leaders are just trying to make money in one way or another, or gain control in one way or another, but the fact that the whole country is so corrupt that constant references are made to the fact that whenever, Western non-governmental organizations try to do something to help, not only does it never help, oftentimes it just makes things worse. Because there's always more profit in making the country worse than there is in making it better. So it's a game set in one of the few places in the world where you can realistically set a game where you can just drive around shooting people with no consequences, because there are places in Africa like that, disturbingly, but that has a really important thing to say about this situation while you're blowing away Africans and foreign mercenaries. So I gotta say, maybe it's a little hypocritical to enjoy the combat as much as I do, while also being really affected by the message, but I think I'm enjoying having it both ways when it comes to the game. And the fact that you get to kill the foreign mercenaries who are making the world a worse place, I gotta say I really appreciate that.
I want to go back. One more thing I want to go back to, the concept of an open world game. To me, the open world is meaningless if you don't have multiple ways to attack a particular problem or a particular mission. How much flexibility do you have to approach things from different angles, to use completely different methods to accomplish your goals?
Unlike Mercenaries, which was terrible at that, which only ever let you run and gun, this one, you can use stealth, you can sleep until night and let it be night when you attack, so everybody's vision is impaired and you can actually sneak in. There's a silenced weapon to use. I personally chose the sniper path, and because it is such a great open world scenario, I was able to stay, 300 meters away from the place I was attacking and just clean up by sniping people from a distance. Although, that being said, the game's AI is good enough that once they realize that there's a sniper attacking them, once a couple of people have been felled by headshots and they figure out where they're coming from, the enemies are actually really good at not only taking cover, but doing the smart thing and staying behind cover. So you don't just pick them off one by one as they rush you, as happens in so many other games. Like, the enemies who are protecting an objective that you have to get to, they won't run at you for no reason. They know that it's safer for them to stay behind cover, and they will stay there. So they'll force you to use the tactics they want you to use. It's actually very good for giving you a free and open way to approach, and not only that, but within the plot of the game, you were given a mission, and any mission can be done straight, or one of your other mercenaries will always give you a way to subvert a mission to try and make some money as well while doing a mission. Yeah, so there's a lot of variety to it. And one last twisted grittiness, realism, fetishist thing I love about it, I adore the fact that guns jam all the damn time.
Hey, one question for you, Dan. A lot of people have said that there's absolute no connection to the story in the original from the original Far Cry.
Not one bit.
Is that a good or a bad move?
Fantastic move. Oh my god. The first game was just the island of Dr. Moreau with Uzis, and it was awful. I reviewed the game, loved the gameplay, hated the story. You can check my review if you want to back that up. You know what? I'm sure I'm going to be embarrassed now to find out that was not my comment, but that's how I remember it. No,
okay.
It has nothing to do with the first game whatsoever, except for the fact that once again you're playing a mercenary.
Well, Dan, thank you very much. It sounds like we've got one of the sleeper hits of the year in Far Cry 2. I am definitely going to check it out based on that, if only for the jamming guns, because it means that I'll get to look at people's hands longer. I can watch the hands clear the jam, and that's what I'm there for.
Okay. Before we go on, 15 seconds of badness. There are repetitive missions, 2 maps in the game. The second map is not as good as the first map, just like in the original Mercenaries. And the AI is fantastic, except for the fact that all of the enemies, no matter what they were doing when they run out of bullets, they will always stand still to reload, stop whatever they were doing. If they were running to cover when they ran out of bullets, they will just stop what they were doing and reload. They can't reload while walking, and it is embarrassing to watch because, yeah, that is a problem. But those are my 3 problems with the game.
Sounds like minor problems at best, though. I'm still looking forward to it. So that's it. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Brad, and thank you, Chi. That's our last podcast of 2008, and
wow.
It's hard to believe, isn't it? 7 of these under our belts, and 52 more coming in 2009. So,
looking forward to it.
Yep. And as always, to the listeners, we thank you and we want your feedback. Please send comments, thoughts, feelings, suggestions, hopes, and dreams, as always, to podcast at gamecritics.com. Also, hop on the discussion forums, leave your comments there, and we will respond to them on a future show. Remember that you can now subscribe to the podcast via iTunes. Just do a search on gamecritics.com and the iTunes store there, and if you like the show, please write us a review. We could use the publicity. And gentlemen, happy holidays to each of you.
See you in
And to you,
2009.
sir.
Happy holidays, everybody, and to our listeners.
Absolutely. Thanks for supporting us, and we will see you in 2009.
Absolutely. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next year. Bye-bye.